Hello, my name's Rebecca, and today I'm going to be talking about books to read at that time right before Christmas and the awkward time in between Christmas and New Year's. I'm going to talk about some books I personally want to read, and I'm also going to recommend some books to you guys. The first three books I'm going to talk about are Christmas themed, and this first one I'm going to talk about is definitely like a Hallmark Christmas movie in a book. It has coffee, cats, and Christmas, so it's perfect for me. And that is a cat cafe Christmas, which I am so stoked about. I'm so excited to read this book. And the main character's name is Kara. She's a veterinarian who started a cat cafe to help cats who need to be adopted, need homes, but it is in the red and it's going to go out of business if she can't figure it out by Christmas. Then comes in Ben, who's a marketing guru. He's a little bit grumpy, a little bit bossy, but he is going to help Kara in her cat cafe. And they're going to try to figure it out by Christmas. And they're going to try to, well, and maybe they'll probably fall in love. But I mean, look at this. This is just like the cutest thing ever. I'm not a big romance person, but I feel like reading at least one Christmas romance a year is good for me. Okay, so I'll read one Christmas romance, but I'm not like a big fluffy romance person. So to balance that book out is A Murder Christmas. This is called A Murder After Christmas, though I think it still has like a lot of Christmas themes. The person who's murdered, I believe he's rich, but he's just maybe some guy, and he is found dead in the snow dressed as Santa Claus on Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas. But anyway, there's like, this was written in 1944, and so it has that kind of Agatha Christie feel to it. It has a lot of like British Christmas things in it, so I love that. I also got this for Christmas last year, and I've been waiting a whole year to read it, so I'm really excited to read A Murder After Christmas. And it is by Rupert Latimer. Rupert Latimer. So it's not by Agatha Christie, but I think it's like Agatha Christie similar. And my last Christmas book is actually a nonfiction book, and I do think this might be a good like early Christmas present for like your mom or your aunt or something like that. And it is The Secret History of Christmas Baking. And it's by Linda Rushnish. Look that up. I'll put it down below. I don't know how to pronounce Radish. I think she's maybe Dutch or something. And it says recipes and stories from tomb offerings to gingerbread boys. And it basically goes through like all these like classic Christmas baked goods, but also I think just like regular like foods, anything Christmas-y adjacent, things maybe you've never even heard about before. But it's a lot, it's like an actual book. It's not just recipes. And it goes through a bunch of different baked goods, foods, whatever, and tells you the history of them, which I find really interesting. It does give you the recipe for each thing as well. So that's why I think it's like a cool gift for somebody, especially if they like baking. So this one I will be reading and maybe bake something from the book. In between Christmas and New Year's is such a good time to read. You usually have a lot of downtime. Sometimes you're with family. I'm going to be with some family with that time, and that family really likes playing board games. And I found this book, which is about board games and murder. So I was like, this is amazing. This is like me plus the family together. So I think this will be a great book to be reading. And this is Bored to Death, which, what a great title. I mean, amazing. The main character is queer. He moves from Seattle to Salt Lake City in order to care for his ill father. He also runs a small board game store and builds up a really nice community there. He has kind of his biological family and his found family, there in Salt Lake City. One day, a dead body is found in front of his board game store and he is framed for the murder. So he has to figure out what happened, who is the actual murderer. So I love this. I'm really hoping that there's going to be some sort of like references to famous board games like Clue, for example. I'm hoping so. So this one I'm pretty excited. I think is a great match for like hanging out with family, playing some games, reading some mystery. And the last book that I want to read this year has to do with like learning something new. It's a nonfiction book. I really like to go into the new year with a feeling of education, learning, openness, curiosity. And that's why I want to read How to Change Your Mind. It's about use of psilocybin and other psychedelics in the treatment of mental health disorders. And this book is by Michael Pollan. I don't know the author personally, but I know of the author within academia, and this is like a well-researched book. And it's quite a thick book. So I'm hoping that the time between Christmas and New Year's will like help me concentrate on a nonfiction book. But it's a topic that is emerging, I'm really interested in, and I think it will be a really great way to like end the year, start the new year. So I have two books that I'm going to recommend that I actually have read that I think are perfect to read this time of year. Neither of them are like actual Christmas books, but are kind of like that like vibe of like coziness, family, all that kind of stuff. So if you don't celebrate Christmas, these are totally great. If you're just like, get 2 weeks off, awesome. Read these books, they're amazing. So the first book, I believe, is the first book this author has ever like published, which is pretty impressive because I really enjoyed this book. And this book is The Wishing Game by Meg Shaffer, or Schaffer, not quite sure. But this is basically a cozier, coastal, bookish Willy Wonka kind of story. And this is about a famous children's author. So think of like J.K. Rowling or C.S. Lewis or someone like that who is still alive, is an old man, but lives on an island off of the coast of Maine where he writes all of his books. A little bit ago, he stopped writing books all of a sudden. And out of nowhere, he decides to host this contest where he'll pick 4 people who, used to be children who wrote to him, who had hard lives, to come over and do all these like competitions, these kind of like riddles, things like that, in order to win his last book. This book kind of goes through this competition. Each 4 of these people have a reason, really heartbreaking reason why they want to have this book, and the book kind of means that they'll have a bunch of money because it can kind of sell the book to the highest bidder. The author is very like Santa coded, though he's not Santa. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I think it's perfect for Christmas. Like a Christmas-y book if you don't want to read like a Christmas book. And this last book is the best books I've ever read, and one of my favorite books of all time, and that is The City of Dreaming Books. And it is a little weird, a little quirky, but I think it's a great fantasy book if you're like not a huge fantasy reader, if you don't want to like read 100, like 200 pages of just like world building. This is great. It's cozy, but it has enough like mystery or adventure that really like holds you in. The main character of this book is a dinosaur, which kind of has nothing to do with any of the book, but he is a dinosaur. And he is in this community of like writers and readers, and it's a very kind of like elitist academia community. And he has a mentor who is on his deathbed. And while he's on his deathbed, he gives the main character of her story, an unpublished book that somebody gave him a long time ago, and it is the best book that his mentor and the main character have ever read. And his mentor says, "You need to go to Bookholm, which is a city, to find this mysterious author for me." And then he does, and the mentor just dies. So our main character goes to Bookholm to find this author and has lots of adventures there. But Bookholm is this like magical city of books where like basically every store is a bookstore. They have catacombs of books. Everyone's a writer. They like trade in books. They like try to find the most rare book. I don't know. There's something just about this book that's just so cozy, so wonderful, and I'm like definitely probably gonna reread it again. Um, this time as well during this month probably as well, just because I just love this book so much. So that's all the books. Let me know if there's any holiday books that you think I should read or you think other people should read, or any other kinds of books that are good for this season. Thank you so much for watching the video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.